He's been employed with Travis County Sheriff's Office for 29 years. Started off with as a corrections officer, moved up to patrol, and then into detective. And that's why I met him when he was a detective working auto task force. Thank you. He came over to Williamson County when I was in Williamson County. Real good guy, and I can't say enough good things about him, so I'm gonna let him talk about himself for a little bit, and tell you about it.
All right, thank you. Is the volume too loud? So, he said I've been employed for 29 years, 2 months, and 2 weeks. And today is my last official act as an employee of the Travis County Sheriff's Office. I'll retire this Monday, so Monday night at midnight, I'll become a civilian. And I'm super stoked about that. So Paul said the class is about PTSD, which it is, but for me, it's more about peer support and being there for your brothers and being there for your sisters. And I mean, I know everybody in here's got a story where they've seen somebody drinking too much, angry, the grouchy guy at the office. Maybe he's just the grouchy guy at the office, but maybe there's a reason for that. And on December 27th of 2006, I had a full-blown nervous breakdown in my cubicle. Nobody recognized it, nobody knew it. And in January or February of 2007, I finally got diagnosed with PTSD. And mine wasn't from a specific event, it was from cumulative, just from years of holding and seeing dead kids, dead babies, teenagers with their heads cut off from car wrecks and whatnot. And it was real rough. Broke my hand punching walls. If you punch a wall, make sure there's not a stud behind it. Drank lots of Jack Daniels 7 nights a week. I drank Jack because I liked it. But then I wake up in my recliner and realize I blacked out because I drank Jack straight. Horrible arguments with my wife. Said things to her, she said things to me. Fortunately, we never got physical, but it was pretty bad. My kids saw it, my parents saw it, my friends saw it. I lost lots of good friends because I changed, I got weird, I got crazy, and so people just quit talking to me. Well, as I got better, I looked back and was like, that really sucked. And it wasn't fair to me or my family. So instead of being angry and bitter, which I was very angry and bitter at my department for not helping me, I finally learned and realized they didn't know what to do with me. That was the problem, because there's no education. So I started going to training, and I went peer support training, I went to CISM training. There's a Christian ministry called the Stephen Ministry. I joined that. Went to more Stephen Ministry training and became a Stephen Minister leader, and now I can teach that. Every chaplaincy type training I could get my hands on, I went to. Suicide awareness, just whatever. So I've been to a lot of training, probably started in about 2010 or 11. And in 2011, one of our old-timer deputies was tasked with teaching a class on PTSD. Well, when I heard about it, I called him and said, hey Rick, if there's anything I can do to help, I'd like to help. And this guy was retired Travis County 30 years, he retired a few years ago, retired Command Sergeant Major from the Texas National Guard or the Army Reserve, I'm not sure which. So the guy's been around, and his forte is training, he teaches. And he told me this was the scariest class he'd ever taught while he was preparing, because he was fixing to teach something nobody wanted to talk about and nobody knew about. So he's like, hell yeah, you can help me. And so we sat down and we were trying to figure out what my part of the class would be. He said, and this guy told enough to be my dad, and he goes, I think you should just tell your story. So in 2011, at our mandatory training, I told my story 27 times. Every other week, we have to go to 40 hours of training, corrections officers and the LE, and so 50, 60 people in each class, 27 times I told my story. And I'm not gonna tell my story today because that class evolved into this class. And this class, I think, is a better class. So you don't need to hear my story, you've heard enough of my story. You can see a picture up there of Craig Hutchinson. And has anybody, besides the folks from Travis County and the Central Texas area, heard about this guy? Yes, a couple, okay. And I didn't think to add there's another guy out of Eagle Lake or Clear Lake or something up in Illinois. So when I tell you Hutch's story, very briefly, there's another guy that just maybe a year ago, similar story up in Illinois. And this is real fresh, he just passed away in July. So I'll do my best not to get emotional when I talk about it. But 32 years with the Travis County Sheriff's Office. He had announced his retirement. His wife was planning his retirement party. She created a Facebook page for it. We were all signing up to attend his party. One night, we have take-home cars, I guess a lot of people do. He pulls up in his driveway, he logs off on the computer, Mike gets on his radio and says, "Send back up, I have 2 crawlers in my backyard." So, hundreds of cops from jurisdictions far away were coming, and the deputies got there and they found him in a ditch, backyard, butted up to like a dry creek. And they found him, and he was shot in the head, and he was dead. And all these deputies knew was they were standing around their sergeant, or a sergeant, or a friend. If you work anywhere in Central Texas, or just about anywhere in Texas, this guy trained you. He taught me how to shoot, how to drive, how to be tased. He tased me. I'm 6'2", 290. He's 6'6", 290. But he doesn't have as much of this. It's Hutch, man. Everybody loved Hutch. Real deep voice. Travis County people know him. And so he got shot by these 2 crawlers. And then after a few weeks, it turned out he killed himself. It was a suicide. And the exact same thing happened up in Illinois. The guy said he was out on foot chasing 2 burglars or something. Big manhunt statewide, dragnet, and it turned out suicide. Same thing, 30 years. I think he was a lieutenant, well respected in the community. So I've never told about Hutch in this class because this is the first class I've taught since Hutch has passed away. But I think it's important to hear that story because nobody can believe that Hutch did this. Because he was the strong guy, he was the big man, he was the fearless man. If Hutch was on the side of the road, and he got on his radio and said, "Officer needs assistance," I would drive the other way. Because if Hutch says he needs help, I don't want to go there because he's dealing with somebody really, really bad. And I say that as a joke, obviously, I would go. So, it's important that we pay attention to each other, and I know that if your agency's like most agencies, you have 0 training on PTSD, you don't have any peer support programs. Does anybody have critical incident stress management at their department? I mean, that's horrible. That's horrible. That we saw 5 hands raised up in a room this big. So when you guys go, whether you're a crime scene, whether you're LE, whether you're a corrections officer, when you see what you see, when you're done seeing what you see, what do? You go to the next call, right? Right? You scrape up the brain, you bag up whatever you bag up, you put bags over the hands of the dead person, take the pictures, you slip and slide or whatever you're slipping and sliding in, and then when you're done, you go to Whataburger, you go to your next call. And you don't talk about it, and you don't process it. That's what this is all about, is processing these events. Your brain is really, really an amazing organ, muscle, whatever it is. And it